It's happening. October 4th, 2025 is not just another date on the calendar. Most people will scroll on their phones, waste time in small talk, sit with people who drain their spirit, and go to bed without realizing what has shifted above them. But deep inside, you can sense it. Something feels different. October 4th is a rupture. Friendships, love, ambitions, even the way you see yourself. Everything will be tested. This is not a small shift. What happens under this moon will follow you into the days and months ahead. You were guided here to understand. You cannot treat tonight like it's ordinary, so stay with me. But first, do 3 things. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Write 3i3 in the comments. Right now, the moon is crossing a powerful point in the zodiac that has always been linked to endings and turning points. When it reaches this position, events are pushed to the surface that can no longer stay hidden. Choices become clear, and the truth steps forward in a way that cannot be ignored. This position has been written about for centuries as a moment of judgment, when what is false begins to break apart, and what is real shows its strength. In mythology, it was the mark of heroes, those who had to decide whether to stay the same or step into the unknown future. That same choice stands before you tonight. The energy that opens now will shape the weeks and months ahead. What you decide, who you release, and what you claim will stay with you. This is the gateway, and you are standing at the threshold. Tonight, the moon steps into a position that shakes loose old agreements of the soul. September 30th, 2025 is marked as a turning point, not because of calendars, but because the unseen contracts written long ago are now being tested. What once tied people together, whether in love, friendship, or ambition, is being brought to a close if it no longer matches the truth of who they are. In spiritual teachings, this is called karmic release. It is not punishment, but completion. Think of it as debts finally paid. Stories reaching their last chapter and doors closing so that new ones can open. Many are ending cycles they didn't even realize they agreed to. These agreements were made before birth, chosen by the soul to create growth, learning, and strength. Tonight marks the unraveling of what no longer needs to follow forward. The reason you are hearing this is not random. Souls arrive at moments like this because they are meant to. If these words reach you, it is proof that your path has already been guiding you here. This event is part of your mission. You are not being thrown into change. You are being initiated into a higher direction. The moon is holding a mirror, and what it shows cannot be avoided. The weight of karmic ties is lifting, and with that comes freedom. Many will not see it. They will move through the hours unaware. But those awake to the shift know that decisions and awareness now echo far into the future. This night is not ordinary. It is an opening into a new storyline, one chosen before time was counted. You are standing at the threshold of that choice, and the path forward has already begun to unfold. In just a few hours, the body and spirit will begin to register what the moon is pressing into motion. The date of 4th of October carries a weight that moves through more than calendars. It leaves impressions that ripple through the mind and emotions. Many have already been caught in sudden waves of memory, moments rising without warning, fragments of the past demanding attention. These are not accidents. They are signals that old stories are loosening, giving the soul space to breathe beyond what once defined it. Tears may come without a clear reason. Laughter may break out in unexpected silence. These swings are not signs of losing balance. They are evidence of release. The heart is clearing out what no longer belongs, creating room for a deeper strength to anchor in. This is why emotions appear louder, sharper, more insistent. They are asking to be honored, not hidden. The body also speaks during times like these. Sudden waves of tiredness or bursts of energy can come and go like tides. Appetite may change. Attention may scatter, and rest may not always come easily. Rather than resisting these shifts, trust that they are part of the purification unfolding. The spirit is pressing through, and the physical form is simply learning to adjust. Many are also touched by moments of clarity that arrive like lightning. Sudden insights, realizations, or truths about people and paths. These flashes may be uncomfortable, but they are gifts. They strip away illusions and bring you closer to what is real. Each moment of awareness is a sign that your inner sight is sharpening, that the old fog is clearing. The emotional body is doing sacred labor during this time. What feels heavy now is actually a preparation for freedom. Collective grief, personal doubts, even waves of unexplained intensity are not punishments. They are markers of progress. The more you allow them to move through, the lighter the spirit becomes. No one is walking this passage alone. Even when it feels isolating, thousands are experiencing the same release, the same purging of old contracts and burdens. This shared transformation is what makes this moment so powerful. It is not chaos. It is reordering. The deeper the release, the brighter the path ahead. By allowing yourself to witness, to soften into these changes, You are not only moving through personal release, you are stepping into a wider initiation meant for this exact point in time. The moon's press on 4th of October reminds the soul that change is not happening to you but through you. What clears now makes space for what is waiting to emerge, and that future is closer than it appears. October 4th carries a weight that cannot be ignored. What rises within now is not random. It is the hidden material of the soul making its way to the surface. Fear, doubt, jealousy, anger, and unspoken grief step out of the corners where they have been hiding. They return not to haunt but to be seen, named, and transformed. The moon does not disguise truth. It exposes what has been quietly shaping choices from within. On nights like this, shadow work begins in unexpected ways. The inner voice may grow louder, questioning worth, trust, and direction. Old wounds resurface not to drag you backward, but to show how much of you is still tied to stories that were never fully released. October 4th creates a mirror where masks slip away, leaving only raw truth. This can feel uncomfortable, but in that discomfort lies the seed of change. Spiritual traditions across time have taught that the shadow self is not an enemy. It is a teacher. In Vedic thought, karmic impressions press forward until acknowledged, demanding growth through recognition. In shamanic traditions, the darker self is seen as a companion that guides the seeker toward strength. What is surfacing now is part of that universal teaching. The parts you once pushed aside are demanding a seat at the table, and in their presence you are asked to practice alchemy. Alchemy here is not about gold or metal, but about emotional truth. Rage becomes clarity when it is examined. Fear becomes courage when it is walked through. Grief becomes wisdom when it is held with honesty. This is the hidden power of the moon on this date, to transform shadows into tools to change what once controlled you into what now strengthens you. Karmic release is woven into this process. Relationships that drain, ambitions that no longer inspire, attachments rooted in fear. These ties are loosening. It may sting to let them go, but each release makes space for greater alignment with who you are becoming. October 4th reminds that karmic debts are not punishments but balances, contracts fulfilled so that the soul can step into freedom. This is why the night can feel so intense. The shadows rising are not signs of weakness but of preparation. They ask for honesty, for courage, for the willingness to sit with discomfort until it dissolves into clarity. Those who avoid the process will carry their weight longer, but those who face it step lighter into the days ahead. Inner darkness, when brought into awareness, becomes the soil of transformation. It teaches strength, honesty, and depth. This night is not here to break. It is here to awaken. October 4th holds the threshold wide open for those ready to step through, leaving behind shadows that no longer need to lead the way. The ground beneath ordinary life is already moving in ways most cannot name. What once felt fixed is loosening, and what once held power is no longer unshakable. This is the nature of awakening. Not a quiet thought in the background, but a force that changes how every step lands. October has arrived carrying a momentum that refuses to be ignored. It is less about what happens outside and more about how the soul responds within. An awakening of this kind is not always comfortable. It presses on the places where people have hidden truths, where they have silenced their own voice to fit in, where they have accepted less than they deserve. Now those quiet corners are being lit, and what was once overlooked begins to demand recognition. It is not destruction. It is recalibration. The self is being tuned like an instrument that must finally play its true song. This stage of growth often shows up as a tension between who you were and who you are becoming. The body may react, emotions may run sharper, and choices may suddenly carry more weight. But none of this is random. It is the signature of spiritual awakening, the unmistakable moment when the soul calls the human forward. In that call, false layers begin to fall away. Awakening is also collective. Across the world, individuals are encountering the same mirrors, the same moments of decision, the same urgency to step into what is real. This shared passage builds a current stronger than any single life could carry alone. To walk through this time is to participate in a larger story, one that reminds us that no awakening is isolated. It is always part of a greater unfolding. The language of awakening is momentum. It does not wait for permission, nor does it linger where growth is resisted. It pushes forward, creating space for new strength, sharper clarity, and deeper truth. What may appear as endings are in fact openings. What may feel like loss is often the removal of weight never meant to be carried this far. To recognize this moment is to claim it. To name the awakening as your own is to step willingly into the current rather than being dragged by it. Those who resist may struggle longer, but those who embrace the process will rise faster, stronger, clearer. Awakening is not about perfection. It is about truth. It is the moment you allow yourself to be shaped by what is real, rather than by what was imposed. This chapter is not meant to be walked blindly. It is meant to be lived with awareness, with courage, with trust that the momentum itself carries wisdom. The awakening now unfolding is a call to step forward as you truly are, not as you were told to be. And once that call is answered, the path ahead will not close. It will only expand. Tonight, the collective field stands at a threshold it cannot ignore. What has been building for years now sharpens into clarity. The energies rising are not abstract. They are lived through human choices, through relationships changing, through voices speaking what was once silenced. This is how a planetary ascension moves. Not in one spectacular burst, but in steady surges that rewrite the direction of an entire species. October 4th carries within it a code of acceleration, a timeline point where many roads narrow and force clarity. Some bonds will deepen, others will dissolve. Entire belief systems will be challenged not by argument, but by undeniable experience. The ascension is not about leaving behind the human form. It is about upgrading the very way humans inhabit themselves. What was once survival begins to open into conscious creation. The collective awakening is marked by intensity. People around the world are suddenly confronting truths they avoided, seeing through illusions they once clung to. This is not a passing phase. It is a collective initiation. Just as a single soul moves through shadow before stepping into light, so too does the human family face its buried contradictions. Corruption, injustice, false narratives, shallow identities. All of these are shaking loose. They are being exposed so that what remains can be authentic. The movement of consciousness is never clean, never orderly. It is raw, unpredictable, and deeply alive. Yet there is a hidden harmony beneath it, a rhythm guiding the shifts. What looks like division is also a breaking open. What looks like destruction is often an invitation for something far truer to be born. Those living through this moment are not here by chance. Every person carrying awareness now is a thread in the fabric of ascension. The soul knows how to move through this. Even when the human mind doubts, the inner compass recognizes the deeper order unfolding. This is why so many are drawn to teachings, to messages, to reminders like this one, not because they are lost, but because they are remembering. The call of collective awakening is like a drumbeat that no one can fully ignore. Some resist it, others run from it, but those who lean into it find themselves lifted into a higher frequency of living. Planetary ascension is not an event to wait for. It is a process already here. Each decision to live truthfully, each moment of integrity, each courageous step away from old conditioning adds to the field. And the field is powerful. Imagine millions of awakened choices colliding into a single stream of momentum. That stream reshapes culture, values, economies, art, and spirituality. What once seemed unshakable begins to bend under the weight of awakened consciousness. This is not a shift happening in isolation. It is planetary in scale and yet deeply personal in effect. The sleepless nights, the sudden clarity, the emotional surges, the urge to break free from what no longer resonates. These are not random. They are the ways ascension writes itself through the human body and heart. As individuals rise, the collective rises. As collective rises, individuals are lifted higher. It is a spiral, a constant expansion. Think of the world as a vast web of agreements, choices, and energies. Each awakening sends ripples through that web, forcing change not only for the one who awakens, but for all those connected. This is why the awakening of even a single person carries weight. It shifts the timeline. It alters possibilities. It strengthens the collective momentum. The revolution of consciousness is not a distant vision. It is underway. The longing for truth in every heart is not just personal. It is part of a grand movement pulling humanity into a new era. October 4th is one of the markers of this movement, a night where the inner and the collective timelines meet. For many, it will be remembered as the turning point they could never explain but always knew was coming. The beauty of this awakening is that it cannot be stopped. Attempts to suppress it may succeed for a moment, but the collective tide rises stronger each time. Each lie revealed, each falsehood uncovered, each shadow exposed is not failure. It is proof of progress. The darkness that surfaces now is not a curse but a clearing. The more it rises, the freer the human spirit becomes. The task now is not to escape the process but to embody it, to live awake, to live present, to live as a participant in the revolution of consciousness. Those who carry this awareness are anchors stabilizing the field as waves of change wash through. Without even realizing it, awakened individuals are holding space for entire communities. Their courage to face truth becomes permission for others to do the same. Planetary ascension does not ask for perfection. It asks for willingness to grow, to shed what no longer serves, to commit to authenticity over performance. It asks that we remember we are part of a much greater story than personal success or failure. Each breakthrough contributes to the collective field. Each healed wound ripples into the human grid. The night is heavy with potential, yet also bright with promise. To be alive now is to stand at the threshold of transformation, unlike any before. Those who recognize it are not only witnesses, they are participants. They are co-creators of the world that emerges after the old scaffolding falls away. And in this recognition, the soul steps fully into its role. No longer hidden, no longer silent, but awake and active in the revolution unfolding. The momentum of ascension is pressing forward with a power that can no longer be denied. All across cultures and nations, voices once ignored are rising. Old institutions tremble. Not because people suddenly turned against them, but because consciousness itself outgrew the cages they offered. The collective is no longer content with borrowed truths or borrowed dreams. A hunger for authenticity is spreading, and it is unstoppable. October 4th marks a symbolic crossing of thresholds where many awaken to the fact that this shift is not happening to them. It is happening through them. The world is not being remade by a handful of leaders or visionaries, but by the countless decisions of everyday souls daring to live honestly in households, in friendships, in private reflections, in bold public actions. Ascension breathes through all of it. The transformation is grassroots, intimate, and profoundly personal. Consciousness does not rise in silence. It rises through the courage of people who say no to falsehood, yes to truth, no to fear, yes to love. This is the revolution of our time. Not fought with weapons, but with awareness. It is a revolution that begins in the smallest of choices and cascades into movements that cannot be reversed. Even those unaware of the largest shifts feel the undercurrent of change. They may not have words for it, but they act differently, think differently, love differently. For those who are awake, the task is not to retreat, but to step further into presence. Each time truth is spoken, it breaks another thread of the old web. Each time kindness is chosen, it plants the seed of a new world. Each time courage rises, it clears a pathway for others who may not yet have found their strength. This is why your awakening matters. It does not end with you. It pours into the grid of humanity itself. The planetary ascension is not about abandoning the material world. It is about infusing it with new consciousness. Money, relationships, politics, art, technology, all of these arenas are being rewritten not by force but by vibration. When more people embody higher states of awareness, the systems they interact with are inevitably transformed. This is why small acts carry immense weight. A decision to live in truth is not a personal win. It is a collective contribution. As the ascension intensifies, many are experiencing moments that feel like being stretched between two realities. One foot in the old, one foot in the emerging. This can feel unstable, but it is in fact initiation. The stretch is proof that the old world is fading while the new is being born. This in-between is not failure. It is a necessary passage. In the discomfort of transition, strength is forged, clarity is sharpened, and authenticity is tested. Collective awakening is not neat. It is messy, emotional, raw, but within that mess is beauty. Each exposed lie is an opportunity to live truer. Each collapse of illusion is a clearing for something real to take root. The soul does not fear this process because it knows what comes after. The human mind may hesitate, but deep within the spirit recognizes liberation disguised as upheaval. October 4th reminds us that timelines are chosen not once but continuously. Every decision shapes the path forward. Collectively, humanity is weaving its next story, not through prophecy alone, but through millions of micro-choices happening every single day. The revolution is already written into the fabric of the now, but its full expression depends on participation. And you are participating every time you choose truth over denial, love over fear, presence over distraction. The acceleration of consciousness also exposes shadows that were long ignored. This is not a punishment. It is purification. As a species rises, all that cannot sustain higher frequency must surface and dissolve. This includes outdated systems, but also outdated ways of being within each individual. The willingness to face inner contradictions is not separate from the collective. It is the collective. The healing of one ripples into the healing of many. This is why the path of ascension demands courage, not because it promises ease, but because it promises truth. And truth once embodied cannot be contained. It spreads like wildfire, igniting hearts, breaking illusions, birthing new visions. This wildfire is not destruction. It is renewal. It clears the false to make room for the real. Every generation has turning points, but this one is different. The current awakening is not confined to one region, one culture, one philosophy. It is planetary. It is collective. It is unstoppable. Consciousness itself has reached a tipping point, and the shift into a higher octave of existence is already underway. What was once prophecy is now reality unfolding in real time through real lives. The invitation is clear. Live awake. Participate fully. Let your choices mirror the truth you wish to see alive in the world. The ascension is not happening elsewhere. It is happening here through you, through us, through the collective. This is the moment we have prepared for, spoken of, prayed for, and carried in our souls long before this. Rivers of transformation never flow backward, and the current of this moment asks for participation with courage. Ancient seers taught that the way forward is not through resistance but through alignment, where each step mirrors the rhythm of nature itself. The Hermetic principle of correspondence reminds us that what is honored within reflects into the outer world. As the moon shifts on October 4th, let this passage be marked not only in the sky but also within the heart. Light a candle at dusk or pour water to the earth in gratitude, affirming that every gesture carries meaning. The smallest ritual shapes the greater story, and the greater story is rising now. The path ahead asks for steady hands and open vision. Indigenous traditions teach that walking well means walking in reciprocity, honoring what has given life and returning gifts through gratitude, action, and care. Each moment is a chance to plant a seed that will grow long after this season passes. To release bitterness, speak it into the wind and let it carry what no longer belongs. To welcome strength, sit in silence with the sun or the moon and let their rhythm steady your own. October 4th becomes more than a date. It becomes a marker where awareness ripens into responsibility. Carry forward the wisdom that nothing shifts in isolation. Every interchange stirs the wider field of consciousness. To embody truth is to become part of a spiritual revolution, not through noise, but through presence, choice, and integrity. What you nurture within will echo far beyond you, shaping timelines yet to unfold. The hour has grown rare, carrying a pulse that can't be ignored. A turning is underway, and under the glow of the October 4th moon event, something within the human story deepens. It is not meant to confuse you. It is meant to remind you that your presence carries weight, that every action, word, and thought is part of a larger unfolding. Moments like these are not about waiting for answers to descend from the sky. They are about daring to stand inside your own truth. Those who are awakening now are not separate from one another. Each breakthrough, each step into clarity sends ripples outward, shaping the collective atmosphere we all share. What changes within a single heart reshapes the field for many. So walk forward with courage. Anchor the light of your awareness into the ground you stand on. Speak blessings over your journey, and trust the rhythm of what is unfolding. Before you leave, share this message with someone who is walking through their own awakening. They may need the reminder that they are not alone. And in the comments, declare a power phrase that feels alive within you. Words that seal your intention to move forward. Those words will not only empower you, they will echo into this shared space as a signal of strength for others finding their way.